welcome. Magandang araw. So, dito, pwede natin simulan na gagamitin yung 4 methods of solving for the resultant vector. So, simulan natin. So, let's start with system of forces or force systems. Force systems, may tulad yung types. Coplanar and non-coplanar force systems. Pag sinabi natin coplanar, these are forces or force systems that act on a single plane. Halimbawa, yung ibabaw lang ng table, dun lang siya. At pag sinabi natin non-coplanar, different planes. Force system that act on different planes in a body. Meron sa tabletop, meron sa gilid, meron doon sa paa, mesa. Yun ang isang halimbawa. Further, it is subdivided sa tinatawag nating collinear, concurrent, parallel, and non-concurrent forces. Ano ba yung collinear forces? Collinear forces, these are forces that has the same line of action. They act at a common point, pero iisa lang ang linya. Halimbawa, along the x-axis lang lahat. Ito yung illustration nun. So, a single point where the two forces are acting, these two forces, F1 and F2, are said to be collinear because they lie on the same plane and has the same line of action. Concurrent, when you say concurrent, these are forces that act at a single point in an object. They pass through a single point, they share a common point. So, that is concurrent forces. Ito yung halimbawa. So, sa XY coordinates, there are 3 forces acting. Yung point na yun, FA, FB, and FC. They act on a single point pero on different directions. Third is what we call as parallel forces. Parallel forces is a system of force that acts on several points in the body but are still parallel with each other. So, ito yung halimbawa. So, meron tayong vertical object acted upon by 4 forces, FA, FB, FC, FD, on different points as shown, but still, they are parallel with each other. Yung parallel forces. And lastly, yung mas madalas na ma-encounter natin, yung tinatawag na non-concurrent forces. These are forces acting at several points in the body and at different projection angles. Ito yung isang simpleng illustration nun. Horizontal bar or beam acted upon by forces A, B, C, and D. So there are several points, sila tumatama, tapos at different angles. Yan yun. Now, para magsimula tayo, let's have a problem ng concurrent forces. Let's have this topic called Resultant of Concurrent Forces. Kukuha tayo ng resultant ng mga forces that are concurrent with each other. I-apply natin ang kahit alin dun sa 4 na methods that we previously discussed. Pero kadalasan, ginagamit dito yung opponent method. It's more accurate, it's more convenient, kasi mabilis din gawin yun. Once skilled ka na mag-solve nito, mayroon ka ng diskarte. So, let's have a sample problem. A wooden stake needs to be removed from the solid ground as illustrated. The ground could firmly hold on the stake F sub F up to 200 pound force only. Question for letter A. What must be the values of F2 and phi in order to produce, together with F1, a resultant of 15-pound force projected vertically upward. Okay. So ito yung ating illustration, and from here, sisimulan natin siya i-analyze at isolve. Okay? So, to continue, let's start with the resultant of concurrent forces. Okay? So, what are concurrent forces nga? These are forces that act on a single point in a body, but with a different projection angles. As an example, say we have it here. A wooden stake needs to be removed from the solid ground as illustrated. Yung pinapakita, a wooden stake acted upon by F1 and F2, F1 being 80-pound force projected at an angle alpha. Shown here is the 2 4x4 triangle. Tapos F2 projected at angle phi. Now, to continue, the ground is said to provide a resistance or could firmly hold on the stake F sub F representation up to 200-pound force only. Now the question for letter A is that what must be the values of F2 and the angle phi in order to produce, together with F1, a resultant of 15-pound force vertically upward. Kung tinatanong ay, ano dapat yung value ng F2 at sa anong angle na to, so that together with F1, mabubulot ito vertically upward 15-pound force despite na meron siyang resistance na 200-pound force. Meron diyang resistance na 200-pound force. Sinimbolize na lang niya na FF. Ang gawin natin, pakita natin ano ba mismo yung force system na meron doon sa problem na yan. Ang meron tayo is that plotted against the XY coordinates, ang mga forces, the initial forces that are acting on the single point in the wooden stake are the forces F1, F2, and F sub F. F sub F is the resisting force that's projected 200-pound force downward. F1 is 80-pound force projected at angle alpha given sa triangle na 2x4 at ang F2 na may angle na phi at nawawala ng value. The next thing na gagawin natin mga is that ang sabi kasi ito sa problem, these three forces were able to produce a vertical force of 15-pound force. Tumalabas na nagkaroon, sabi sa problem, nagkaroon siya ng resultant force na 15-pound force vertically upward. Ito yung naging resulta. Ito yung resultant. Originally, say, we have here a Cartesian plate. Kung ipaplot natin yung forces, sabihin natin ito yung F1, ito yung angle na alpha, tapos andito yung F sub 2 na nag-generate ng angle na phi, tapos vertically downward yung F sub F. Now, anong nangyari with these three forces, with this force system, ang nangyari na resulta is that nag-produce siya ng resultant, that is vertically upward. Ito ay resulta ng action ng tatlong forces na to. Hinahatak sa papuntang first quadrant at the same time papuntang second quadrant habang resisted vertically downward. Na ang naging resulta, ito. Ang resulta, 15-pound force upward. So, ibig sabihin yan, as per analysis, lumalabas kasi na yung ating FR na nanggalingan sa summation of forces sa vertical at sa horizontal, lumalabas na siya ay equal sa summation ng lahat ng forces sa y-axis. Siya yung 15-pound force at ang lahat ng forces sa x-axis ay 0. 0 ang total. 0 ang total. Ibig sabihin, pagdating dito, yung lahat ng forces mo pa kaliwa ay equal sa lahat ng forces na makikita mo sa pakanan. Sa pakanan. Samantalang doon sa taas, lumalabas kasi ang ibig sabihin nito, lahat ng forces mo pataas ay hindi equal sa lahat ng forces mo pababa. Bakit hindi equal? Kasi nagkaroon ng resultant na vertically upward at walang resultant na horizontal. So, ang gagawin natin is na dahil hinahanap ang F2 at saka yung kanyang angle P, pwede tayo magsimula sa pagkuha ng summation ng lahat ng forces sa x-axis. At sabi natin, 0 yun. Bakit 0? Kasi equilibrium or balance yan. Pag sinabi natin ang forces sa isang axis ay 0, ibig sabihin, yung kaliwa at pakanan equal, ang pataas at pababa equal. Ibig sabihin. And on that note, in a state of equilibrium yun. Kasi hindi naman daw nagkaroon ito ng paggalaw yung wooden state sa kakaliwa at kanan, but instead, vertically, upward ang naging paggalaw. Ang pagsasabi natin sa summation of forces, di ba? Lahat ng forces sa horizontal, mag-ina, titingnan mo yung, dito ka titingin. Titingnan mo, ilang bang forces ang nasa x-axis? 2. Yung x component ng F1 at saka x component ng F2. Dahil kung babasagin kasi natin yan, yan, lumalabas na ito yung mga forces. Ito yung mga forces. Ito yung original mong F sub 1. Tapos nagkaroon siya ng F1x at saka F1y. Tapos, yung force mo naman na F2, meron kasi siyang yung components niya F2x, itong F1, F2, at meron din siyang component na bumatak sa dito F2y. Whereas, yung resistance na 200 is, sabi natin, F sub F, Y entirely, which is 200 pound force. Nangangalagan yung engineers na meron 5 forces. No? 5 forces. dalawang nasa x-axis, the x component of F1 and the x component of F2, at tatlong nasa y-axis, the y component of F1, the y component of F2, saka yung resisting force ng F sub F, na pwede natin sabihin na rin y component of F sub F kasi wala naman siya x component. Now, dahil dito, may dalawang forces sa x, masasabi natin na ang summation ng forces sa x equivalent sa F1x plus negative F2x. At ang summation ng forces sa vertical o y-axis naman na nagkataong 15 pound force upward, so positive, ay equal sa y component ng F1 plus y component ng F2 plus negative 200 pound force. Bakit negative 200 pound force? Because it is projected vertically downward. Nasa negative y-axis. Ang gawin natin, i-derive natin ang F2x at saka F2y para makuha natin mismo yung F2 at saka yung kanyang angle. Bilang pagpapatuloy. So, solve muna natin yung nasa horizontal axis. Ang sabi sa akin, ang summation ng lahat ng forces na nasa horizontal or x-axis ay equivalent sa 0 dahil wala namang resultant sa x ay equivalent ngayon, equate natin yung dalawang ito, ay equivalent sa F1x plus negative F2x. So, ang mangyayari niyan, expand natin. 0 is equivalent to ano ba ang ating F1x? Mapapansin natin engineer na yung kasing narito yung F1, ito yung ating F sub 1, nagkaroon siya ng angle na alpha, pero nagbigay siya ng triangle na 254 yung alpha. Ibig sabihin, makukuha natin yan, yung value muna, na makukuha natin ito bilang root of 20. Yung hypotenuse dahil ng c squared is equivalent to a squared plus b squared. So, the root of 4 squared plus 2 squared will have to be root of 20. Dahil lang doon, tinry muna natin yung pinakano niya. Ano ba ang kanyang sign? Ang sine function ng alpha ay opposite of adjacent. So, 2 root of 20. Tapos ang kanyang cosine function ay cosine alpha is adjacent over hypotenuse, which is root of 20. Now, lalabas kasi na yung F1x natin, base sa pag-aralan natin sa component method, ang ating horizontal would have to be naka-cosine. So, F1x would be positive F1 cosine alpha, at naturalmente ang kanyang y-axis, which is also positive, would have to be F1 sine of the angle alpha. Yun. Now, ilagay natin dito yung F1x. So, this would have to be F1x would have to be F1 cosine alpha minus F2x. Hayaan muna natin siya na nakarepresent as F2x. Huwag muna natin siyang expand sa F2 cosine phi. F2x lang muna. Transposing, makuha natin na ang ating F2x ay F1 cosine alpha. Kung saan ang F1 ay may value 80 pound force multiplied by, ano ba mismo yung cosine alpha? Ang equivalent ng cosine alpha natin, hindi mo na kailangan, kahit hindi mo hanapin yung angle, ay 4 over root of 20. When computed, kinumpit mo yan, ano magiging sagot? So that would have to be 80 times 4. That needs to be divided by the root of 20. So you have your answers 32 times the root of 5 or 71.554. 71.554 pound force. Now, may kita habit na mag-double check, mag-recalculate. So, I have already solved it, so tama naman yung sagot na yan. So, let us have your F2x be 71.554 pound force. Moving on, ang lahat naman ng forces na nasa y-axis, kung yan sumasama daw, yung y-axis ng FF, which is yun lang naman talaga yun, yung y-axis ng F1, yung y-axis ng F2, nagbigay daw sila ng resulta na 15 pound force vertical upward, so that would have to be positive. Bakit? Kasi ito, ang ibig sabihin kasi nito mga engineer, yung FR kasi natin is entirely vertical. Kaya, ang ating FR ay masasabi natin, yun na rin ang forces niya sa y-axis. Ito, nahalaga yan. Now, continuing, alam natin na yung summation of forces sa y, pag tinotal lahat ay 15 pound force vertical upward, sino-sino ba yung pinag-total dyan? 1,200. Ang tinotal kasi dyan ay yung y component ng F1 which is positive kasi tapos F2y positive din, tapos plus your negative 200 pound force. Ano ba yung ating F1y? Ang ating F1y ay F1 times the sine function of alpha plus your F2y minus 200 pound force. Now, i-equate na natin itong expression na to sa mismo 15 pounds. Now, arranging the equation, ang mangyayari kasi ng mga engine is that what we will be having is 15 pound force will be equal to F1, which happens to be 80 pound force times yung sine alpha. Ang value ng sine alpha, ito yun. Again, kahit hindi mo na kinuha yung mismo equivalent angle ng alpha, sine function ng alpha ay tumbas na 2 over root of 20. So this is F1 sine alpha plus your F2y, same thing with F2x, hindi natin mo siya expand, subtracted with 200 pound force. So, ito na natin 15 pound force. Rearranging, ang mangyayari dito mga engineers is that you will have your equation. I-transpose natin yung FB sa pakabila. Tapos talin natin ang F2y sa kabilang side, you will have your F2y as negative F2y equated with the values that is, una, 18 pound force times the sine function of alpha. So that would have to be 80 times the value of 2, which is to be divided by the root of 20, giving us answer that's equivalent to 35.777. 35.777. At yung 80 times the sine alpha, value of sine alpha, minus 200 pound force minus the transposed 15 pound force. Now, ang mangyayari engineer is that negative F2y is equivalent to meron tayong 35.777 subtracted with 200, further subtracted with 15, that gives us 179 negative 0.223. Negative 179.223 pound force. Now, ito yung sagot. Ayusin natin. Lalabas na ang negative F2, which is equivalent to negative 179.223 pound force, would have to be, hindi ko lang siya isulat, F2y is positive 179.223 pound force. Saan ito nang galing? Dito. Saan nang galing? Now, since meron tayong X and Y components ng F2, makuha natin F2. Dahil dati, sineseparate natin sa X and Y components ang isang force. Ngayon naman, i-combine natin. Given ang X and Y components, makuha natin yung mismong force at saka yung angle kung saan siya naka-project. Okay. Bali nakuha na natin ang X and Y components ng F2, ang F2X at saka ang F2Y. Lumalabas kasi na ang F2X na may 71.554 pound force and F2Y na 179.223 pound force. Pag plinat natin sa Cartesian plane, ibig sabihin, yung ating F2Y, ito ang kanyang projection at saka ito naman ang F2X. Na kung gagawa natin yan ng parallelogram, lalabas na ito yung mismo F2 at ang na-generate ng angle na phi. So, mula doon, makuha natin yung isang triangle, sabihin natin nakadikit sa X. This is the angle that is phi. Lumalabas na this our Y component of F2, the X component of F2, at ito ang mismong F2. Yan yung mismong F2 na hinahanap natin. Para malaman yan, since right triangle yung nabuo, pwede tayong gumamit ng formula ng Pythagorean na C squared equals A squared plus B squared. Pattern after that, makuha natin na ang F2 ay F2x squared plus F2y squared. That needs to be extracted. Yung sum of the squares. Makuha natin therefore na F2 ay extraction ng root na ano ba ang F2x natin? We have it 71.554 squared plus F2y, which is 179.223, that needs to be squared. Now, pag in-evaluate mo to, makakakuha tayo ng sagot ng F2. Pwede mo i-check in sa inyong calculator. Na value ng F2 would have to be equal sa 71.554 554 that needs to be squared. Added with 179.233. 223. That needs to be squared also. Ang may sagot niya ay root of 32,7,240. So, extraction ng answer na yun, that will have to be 192.978. 192.9789. So 979 pound force. Now, kung gawin natin 2 decimal places, that would have to be 192.98 pound force. So approximately 193 pound force. Pero ito na yung tatanggapin natin yung sagot. Now that we were able to solve for F2, the magnitude of the unknown force, hanapin natin ang angle of projection niya na in-assign yung ang Greek letter phi. For us to be able to solve for phi, gamitin natin yung triangle na in-extract natin dito. Ginamitan na component method. Lalabas kasi na to solve for phi, that will have to be the tangent of that angle. So katawa, opposite over adjacent, so that will have to be tangent phi being equal to F2 y over your x component of F2. Tapos, we will have the expression phi as the inverse tangent of the quantity F2y, which happens to be 179.223 on force. That needs to be divided by your F2x, 71.554 pound force, closing them in. Now you can have this cancelled, and upon computation, so we have 179.223 that needs to be divided by your 71.554 and getting the inverse tangent of that quotient, giving us 68.236. So that translates to 68.24 degrees. So that's it. We were able to satisfy the problem. Wherein, sabi nga, merong state, nag-apply ng F1 and F2, nag-resist ng 200, na kaya i-resist ng state hanggang 200 pound force lang. Ano daw yung value ng F2 at yung kanyang angle of projection in order for the force system to produce a resultant that is vertically upward in a magnitude of 15 pound force. Thank you, engineers, for watching. I hope naging malinaw ang presentation. Thank you.